So hello and welcome. It's the Elders Climate Action of Florida, um, working with the Climate Collaboratory, which is a pilot project of We the World and the University of Florida Extension. And today we have some wonderful people with us, and I can't wait for you all to meet each other and start sharing some of this exciting energy that's building around the Climate Conversation to Action program, and how we in Florida, many, if not most of it, no, some of us are in Florida, and some are in what we call our global network of support. So wherever you are in the world, you are welcome to be part of our process in this thing that's going on in Florida. So I'm going to start with our Florida folk first. And I'd like to start with Barbara McDade Gordon, who is coming to us. The way we connected was through the UNA USA, I believe, correct?
Yes, sort of. We met even before then at
Okay.
the that climate change that the Cultural Arts Coalition put on a couple of years ago.
Yes, yes. So you might want to tell about that because that was an important step along the way.
Yes,
So
right.
just tell us a little about you and your interest and what brings you here today.
Okay. Well, I'm obviously interested in this whole subject of climate change. I remember we had I'm a retired faculty member at UF in the geography department, and a couple of years ago we had many years ago, 6 years ago, we had a speaker who was speaking on climate change, and there was a question and answer period afterwards, and she was, detailing how people in the Indian Ocean region, that Pacific region, were really getting worried. They were concerned because their places were actually being overcome with water, the tides were rising and this and that. So we were, we are all geographers, so we were receptive to what she was saying. And I raised my hand to ask a question. And I said, well, I believe in climate change too. And she said, it's not just a belief, it's not just a belief, it's the reality. So when she said that, I really could see, even clearer in my mind that in America, it seems that we're thinking that, oh, it's sort of like a principle, a political stance. you accept it or you don't accept it. Well, it doesn't matter. It's just like the sky is blue. It's there. So basically, that's how I got into it. And I'm generally obviously working with Sue Blythe, who is so much a part of this climate change effort to make people more aware of it. So that's how I came into this.
Thank you.
And I'm with the United Nations Association, as she had said, and the Welcoming Gainesville and Alachua County group. And we had a really wonderful Day of the Immigrant event on Saturday at Bo Diddley Plaza. This first time in a year that I've actually been out in the world.
Wonderful. And please do tell a little about that NAACP Environmental and Climate Justice program, right? That was
okay. That's not really my area. I thought it was the Cultural Arts Coalition sponsored that, but it was probably the NAACP did a couple of years ago at the, what was that, at the Wilhelmina? No, it was at the Wilhelmina Johnson Center. It was at Thelma Bolton downtown. Right. It was great. There were young people there, which oftentimes, I notice when I go to art organizations, there's more people like me and my age and or around there. But there are a lot of young people. There are people of all ages. They were from elementary kids on up to UF students, older people, middle people, adults. So it was really great, and people were all excited about this, which I was very much interested in, because a lot of times it seems like you're kicking, pulling people kicking and screaming into some of these initiatives. And they keep saying that all the young people are on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but I know you can't just live a life virtually, even though I love Zoom, but you can't live a life on Instagram. So we were glad to see those folks out.
Well, it was a great event, and I'm really, really pleased that we can think about anyway collaborating with them on doing this community-wide climate conversation. So hello, Kimberly, welcome. We're just introducing, starting with people in Florida, and we'll get to you in the outer network of support in a minute. So next I'd like to introduce Ensign Cowell, who has, as he was starting to say, is with the Florida Interfaith Climate Actions Network. So please do tell about what you bring into this conversation.
Yeah, and I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm going to have to leave in about 20 minutes because the climate action team of the Unitarian congregation down here in Fort Myers, one of two small congregation, has their meeting. And the really nice thing about our meetings these days is that they include people from Climate Reality, climate, CCL, climate, the carbon fee and dividend people, and
Probably
global,
Pachamama, huh?
yeah, Pachamama, and so a whole bunch of organizations tend to be on the call, which is great because it allows us to reinforce each other and keep each other informed, and so forth. So I do try and keep up on it. But anyway, I'm involved in a couple nonprofits. One, Spirituality and Sustainability Global Network, that came out of trips to Assisi by a whole bunch of people over a 20-25 year period, in the tradition of Thomas Berry, if you know of him, geologian, theologian. And Sue and I met at the Florida Interfaith Climate Action Network. So I'm just trying to be active in these various venues to have impact. And I'm also now involved in a nascent small group in Northeast Ohio, because in the summer I go back to Cleveland. So that's what I'm kicking around in. And I think the whole question of keeping in the media, which is what Sue's main goal has been, is tremendously important. And I'm tremendously supportive, even though I can rarely attend a meeting like this. So I just want to re-encourage Sue and you all to keep going.
Keep going. So on that note, I would like to just mention that I am meeting this afternoon with the chair of the College of Journalism and at the University of Florida. And I'm going to be asking him we're going to be, talking about internships over the summer and into the fall, so that we can get some commitment to work on what we're calling the Climate Conversation to Action program with the Florida Extension program. So what I would like to do is introduce Sherry Stark, who I understand is a long-time journalist, yes? And you're now working on the climate conversation through Elders Action Network, correct?
That's correct. I've done press releases for them and videos for them. I just did one on the Grandmothers for a Green New Deal, did a press release and got it into Grand Magazine. They did a 17-minute video, and they're having workshops with various groups with questions and answers, and bringing the stories of people who are interested in climate change, both the elders groups that I'm involved with, and also the other groups, other types of groups that we're collaborating with, like the children and the churches and other groups they've networked with. It's climate change, and it's also social justice, election reform, and things like that. Elders Action Network is multi-pronged in that way. And I'm hoping to find a way not just to do stories and not just to do interviews, but to, like Sue has suggested in some of her stuff, which is why I'm so attracted to this group, enabling people to tell their own stories and network with each other, so that it's not just on my shoulders, because I can only do so much. And I'm really excited that you're going to get a journalistic interns. That is really exciting. I want to follow how that goes and try to duplicate it. I'm in California,
Yes.
and I'm in the California Elders Climate Action chapter, which is a brand new chapter. We're still real small, but we're learning from the heavy hitters that have more experience in it. I just attended Al Gore's workshop, and I was real excited. It's so synchronistic how many climate conversation networking groups are springing up all of a sudden. It's an embarrassment
That's
of
great.
riches. I'm hoping to learn from them and duplicate it with my elders climate groups. But the Will Steger legacy, the climate generation, I just went a whole workshop where basically they gave prompts, asked questions, why do you relate to this, and what story do you have? Bringing one thing that I keep coming back to, and I believe myself intuitively, and I'm also hearing it, is that charts and political things only hit a certain level of people, and that's great. We need that intellectual and the political, but personal stories, emotional stories of how it's hitting people is what really moves them. And so that's what I hope to help amplify and model for my participation in trying to continue the momentum that seems to be happening worldwide.
So let me just ask, would you be available for a meeting at 4 o'clock this afternoon Eastern time?
What time is that
That
here?
would be
1 o'clock.
1
probably.
o'clock for you.
I have a 1:30. I could do it for half an hour. I have a 1:30 with the Southern California chapter. That I
Okay,
had
let
to
me
miss
let
last
me
week as
send you
well.
that, because I would love for
Okay.
you to meet this man. And
Sounds great. I'll do
and
it for half an hour.
I think what when I asked him about internships and volunteers, he sent it on to someone else who will also be on this call. I don't know, Joanne, you might know Cynthia Barnett, who is she does the environmental journalism at the University of Florida. So both of them will be on this afternoon. And I would love to have you with your journalism background involved in that conversation. So I'll send that. Okay, so let's go to Joanne, who is coming to us. Well, tell us what brings you here, Joanne, and what you bring to the conversation.
All right. Well, I'm Joanne Schwandes, and I am in Silver Spring, Maryland, just about 6 miles up the road from the middle of Washington, D.C. So I used to live in Gainesville, Florida. Before that, I lived in other places in Florida, and Sue and I met way long ago when her youngest was about 10 months old, I think. So that's many grandchildren between then and now. And Sue and I collaborated on peace education in the state of Florida for many years, and we've stayed friends and in contact. But when this climate conversation to action started, and we started telling stories, I figured that there's some way I could support it. And so I said, I can enter stories into a website. And I had to learn how, but that's okay. And so I am here as a support person, and I love to listen to the stories and watch the networking unfold, and then log the stories as they come into a certain document. And Kimberly's been right along for the ride from the get-go, and I'll let her tell about her dynamic engagement with environmental issues. Are you with us, Kimberly?
Oh, you're still muted. There
Yes,
you go.
good morning, everybody. I first heard of Sue Blight when I took the Wilmette course of climate change, Wilmette Institute. And that's how I became interested, but I really got involved in the last year during the pandemic. Until I can go out where it's safe. You know, but I've been protesting online during Zoom. I'm a member of the Northern California chapter, Elders Climate Change. And I also help out with the Poor People's Campaign with social action. And with the oh yes, I participated in the commission meetings with Kern County, fighting over opposition over the oil drilling. So that was interesting. Becoming involved in local governments, how California legislature works. I'm a San Francisco native, born and raised, proud of it. But I've been in Las Vegas with my mom. You know, it's still different, the weather-wise. I'm used to being around coastal city, the water, the fog of the Golden Gate Bridge. It's not like here in Las Vegas where it's desert country. So that's a big adjustment for me. So it's a work in progress.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciate about Kimberly is how she pursued the climate stories of people who are in the transportation industry, going to the airlines and the trains and, you know, just getting it. And now with the city and the whole idea of oil drilling. So she's had some wonderful climate stories. So the idea is that we come together here, we share what's happening, and each of those is our own version of a climate story. And I figure everybody on the planet at this moment has a climate story to tell, whether they're aware of it or not. But part of our goal is to help people be aware that we each have a climate story. We need to make a conscious effort to make the big story that we're telling of the whole human family a really positive one, that the transition that we are part of requires commitment and action from each and every one of us. And so I'm a firm believer that this is a very spiritual enterprise, that coming together through the heart is the way that we deal with climate change. And so making those heart-to-heart connections and finding ways to amplify that is really why I feel it's so important to work with interfaith groups. And so for my part, I call this a collaborative storytelling adventure, because I am writing slowly, a children's story that begins on a game board and reaches out into the backyards and then into the children's community. And on the way, as it gets wider and wider into our global networks of support, we pick up all of the different age groups so that everybody has some age appropriate activities that we hope to at least make people aware of, that they have a lot of options of things they can do, and to make that part of a game. And we did our we did a come on, Sue. It was called the Earth Flash Games Show, and it's youth led. We have a 13-year-old and a 22-year-old at this point. We're getting ready to reach into the schools. Barbara and I have been starting a little bit of conversation about how we can reach to the schools through the United Nations Association, especially working on those sustainable development goals for October, when everybody celebrates to some degree or another the United Nations Day at the end of October. And before that, so we got the SDGs there. And then before that, in June, is the Earth Charter anniversary. Last year, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the Earth Charter, which is 16 principles, values and principles for a sustainable, just, and peaceful future. And I met a family on this global call that the children ages 10 and 12 talked to the adults and said, please include the children in your programming because it's our world and we are aware, we are conscious, and we want to work with you. And so I've been working with that family, bringing together the program that we will be launching. Well, we've launched it. The older boy is on this Earth Flash game show team called Tomorrow's Dreamers. And the two younger sisters are working on the game board part of this. So we're involved in this storytelling adventure. And the elders, this group, have been working on the climate stories, telling our own personal history and our own personal what we're doing now, and then helping the children to envision how the things that they want to see are already being done in many, many different ways. And so we're trying to make a connection between the people who are already working on the things that the kids want in the world. And when you hear the young people in the middle, you know, the youth age, it's like there's so much anger that the adults are not doing anything. And it's not true. We want to help them understand that there are lots of people working on these issues. And so telling stories is part of that. So, gosh, there are two directions.
I want to make one comment
Go
before
ahead,
I'm going to
please.
have to go out.
Yes.
I am delighted by the observation that Sherry made that climate networking groups are springing up. I think this idea of people having conversation about it, not to proselytize or necessarily to educate unless people want education, whatever it is, but talking about it. And we have this Zoom thing, it doesn't take any cost, and just getting more people in the conversation and answering questions or seeing what they might be interested in doing. Not real heavy recruiting or anything, but, you know, I never was much intrigued with the personal carbon footprint thing, like, you know, buy a Prius and that. I think big industry and big government stuff is really, this is a big systems problem. But I think getting more people to think about it and talk about it in any way, just get them into conversation. So I like the story idea and the conversation idea. And I'm very encouraged if in fact, climate networking groups are springing up. I want to hear more about that. And you're recording this, right, Sue?
Yes.
Yeah, if you send me the recording link, I could look at the rest of the meeting. But I should run now because I'm part of this other climate
Okay.
action team.
Yes.
So, hey,
Well,
good
thank
to meet
you.
you all. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much for coming. Bye. So, who else would like to just comment, question, anything?
Well, I just wanted to mention to Kimberly, I was in Las Vegas for the first time ever 2 years ago. I was having a reunion with my high school classmates. We just decided to meet in Las Vegas, and it was 109 degrees minimum every single day. We were there for about 4 or 5 days. And I was really surprised though, was that it didn't seem hot. And maybe, you know, people say when it's dry heat, it's not as hot. It's not like we were walking around, you know, outside, but at any rate, 109 degrees every day was amazing to me.
Yeah, it's like a dry, hot heat. Thank God for air conditioning. Just like, but in Florida, you guys deal with the humidity.
Yeah.
That makes you tired, doesn't it?
Well, the thing about humidity, what I like about humidity is it's good for your skin. Because if I was living in West Texas, I moved here from Houston, which is really humid. If I was living in West Texas, my skin would be parchment paper. So that's one good thing about humidity.
What year did you say you were in Vegas?
That was in 2 years ago. Well, yeah, 2 years ago, 2019. We were there in July of 2019.
Just before the pandemic.
Yes. Yep, just before the pandemic.
You were lucky.
And yeah, and I got to do one of my bucket list thing was to go visit the Grand Canyon. So that was
nice.
really wonderful.
Beautiful.
That's wonderful.
So we've got two directions we could go for the second half of this. One is to follow the networking, you know, getting other organizations involved using journalism and connecting with universities. I would say, Sherry, if you can connect in the same way that I am at the University of Florida, you can connect with your College of Journalism, and we can do a little sharing of resources and just the energy that we're putting into it.
I'm curious just what the approach will be. I
Yeah.
haven't thought about that, so
Yeah.
I'm curious to see.
So that's one. And then Joanne, maybe you could share what we did with this Storium climate storytelling.
Yeah, this was really a fun activity. Sue found, I don't know how she found the Storium, Storium, but it's a game that you can play and actually build a story, construct a story. And she set it up so it was focused on the environmental type topic. And there were you choose to be a character, and then once you've got the idea of your character, you pull some cards, or it's like you're dealt some cards that tell you what the environment is, what the scenario is, and then you pull another card and it tells you if there's a relationship between the characters. And the story that was evolving with the two of us playing the game, I was Pacha, and Sue was actually Pacha's brother, and we were both students, I would say college students, because we were pretty advanced students. And we were climatologists. And the story evolved that there was this conversation between the brother and the sister about one tiny aspect of climate change and the effect the humans have on it. And the brother offered a tidbit of information that was new to Pacha, and he was pretty much saying, you ought to pay attention to this. And the story unfolded, and then we finished the story, and there were opportunities to expand it. If you got a certain number of words in your conversation, it would give you an extra feature. And so there was even an epilogue to the story, but we ended up with a complete story. And of course, it's all fabricated, but it was drawn from our own personal life experience because we were speaking as the character in the story. So number one, the opportunity for engagement with someone else. Now, Sue and I know each other, but I could see it working with two very, very unrelated people. Like I could do the story with you, Barbara, or you and Kimberly could write a story together, and it would be a cool way to kind of get to begin to know each other. Also, actual information. When Sue's character would put a link in the story that would take you to substantiation of a certain fact that she was presenting. And so it expanded it for further investigation after the story got written. And you can actually say what level you would like to play the game at. We were playing at the highest level for like 12th graders, but it's designed to work with anybody from 3rd grade to 12th grade. I mean, that's adult, essentially. And so the story would be more or less complex based on how old the players are and what level they would choose to play. So then we got to the end and we found we couldn't go back to the story. It was like, we want to see the whole story in front of us. And that wasn't an option. We saw the story unfold, but couldn't go back to read it. And we said that's something that the Storium people need to know, that we, the players, would like to see that feature. And sure enough, in my inbox this week comes, ta-da! Sue contacted the Storium people, and I don't know where they got the story from, but it was all intact. And so now we have a copy of the story.
That's
But
great.
we did it just for to see if that would work as a tool for writing a story. And I think,
And it
yeah.
does.
yeah,
So that was my second option. If you would like to set that up and work 2 at a time, 2 or 3. Actually, they say it can be done with 2 to 4 players on a team. And we've got enough people here to do 2 stories. And I wondered if you'd like to give that a go. And
Right now?
I would right now, and
Yes.
I would set it up at the grade 3 level, so that we can do this easily and quickly, so you can see how it works.
And then there will be a recording of the story, you say? They modified the software so that there's a
Well,
copy of it?
it turns out that there's a secret hiding place where you can download. And he told me where to look, and it's like, nobody would ever guess that. And
Oh,
so
they should put that
this
instruction in.
belongs right in your teacher guide. You put that right there. So anyway, I know how to do that. I can share the story with you. I'm thinking that the difficult part that Joanne and I worked out is how to get people signed up in the right place, so that we've got 2 different teams working on the same story base, right? And you'll come up, of course, with 2 very different stories.
So do I understand you modified it to be climate related?
Yes,
Or
I
it already
put in, what I did is and in fact, I pulled this up because I wanted to show you, let's see if I can find it.
so what I would recommend is that if everybody's willing to do the story, that we just do one story, and we
can watch it unfold right here.
we can watch it unfold, and that way, when you show your screen and show the layout of the story, which tells how you got that information in there.
Okay.
And how long will this story take?
Well, I would say we can play it for 20 minutes and see how
Okay.
far we get. And
All
then
right.
if
Yeah.
somebody wants to continue it after that, we can do that. And when you're done, then I can find that secret hiding place and
Okay.
send you all the copy of the story, completed story.
I think that would be great.
Everybody
fun.
can pay
I
for that?
just downloaded the information about Storium because it sounded so interesting. So I'm gonna look into this as well.
Yeah. So if we can get good enough at this is a possibility for working with kids in schools for UN Day. You see, that's the way I'm thinking about this.
Hmm.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is ask each of you to go to storiumedu.com.
Can we do that and still stay in the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know how? If you look at the bottom of your, at the bottom, your taskbar at the bottom, you should see the Zoom logo and your email logo. So just click on our browser logo.
It said the site can't be reached, but I got the site just by Googling it. But the storiumedu.com.
Anybody else get it?
It's Storium EDU.
So
Okay, not-
how does this work
yeah,
again?
not .com. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's just Storium edu.
.com.
Now, how do I get there again?
Okay, it's Storium spelled STOR.
I'm still in the Zoom. I don't know how to get to my
Okay,
email.
down at at the bottom of your, you know, where the taskbar is and all the logos of the different things you're working on.
I
There-
see participants, chat.
No, lower than that, down on your,
So it might be on the left. Not everybody has it at the bottom of the screen.
okay,
Mine might be on top.
Can you see where your internet browser icon
Yeah, where
is?
the browser is. And it's storium.com.
storiumedu.com.
When I did edu, it said site can't be reached. When I did .com, it came right up.
Oh, I
Okay.
see.
Now, Sue, once you're there, it says get started, log in, enter class code.
Yeah, I want you to log in first and then I will give you a class code.
Okay,
So-
well, let's get
Let's-
together on whether it's edu or .com.
So edu.com.
It doesn't, it says site can't be reached, but when I did storium.com, it did.
Joanne, what do
So
you
just-
get?
So,
Just-
so,
Just
So-
type it into the notes. Can you just put it in the chat?
No, I don't have a chat on this account.
so storium.com.
Oh, okay.
No. It's.
No, Storium edu does not work for me. It says this site can't be reached, but when I
I-
did storium.com, it came right up.
Okay, let's go to storium.com and
So
see if we can
Storium.
get you into the EDU part.
Yeah, maybe edu is a section. Because it's really nice. Write stories with friends about lost kingdoms, the creative online writing game.
So now it says Storium, the online storytelling game.
That's the one.
Right.
So I want you to log in. You'll have to make a new account.
So log in.
With our email.
Okay, write my email address.
Right.
And we use a new user password for this thing.
Yeah, now I need a
Yes,
password.
no, you are gonna create the password.
Oh, I see.
This is
So this
your
would be-
account, not mine.
Oh, oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
let me-
we're starting anew. We don't have a password for this one.
okay, no problem. So,
Says there's no user with this name and password. So evidently you have to create an account before you can log in.
Right, that's what we're trying to do. Oh, okay, I get
You
it.
could use your email address though.
Yeah, we're gonna create a new account. I asked you to log in and that's probably not right. So I'm logging out. It's hard for me to get back as though I have never been here before.
So
I-
are we going to be able to come
Okay.
together on this with all of us logging in with different passwords and usernames?
Yes, I believe so.
I
Okay.
think get started is probably better than log
That's
in.
right, exactly. I'm sorry.
so I guess we have to sign up.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're gonna get started on the home page. So if you want to click on the Storium EDU icon at the top left, that should take you back to the sign in page and you click the red button that says get started, not the blue one that says log in.
So are we going to end up at Pacha in the game or no?
I hope so.
Okay, because I'm
Yes.
in there. I'm in there and I don't want to go out because I don't remember my password.
No, I'll give you a new password. And
So
now
I guess I have to go back to the main website.
yes, you have to get started.
Yeah, I have to go back. Yeah, I'm still not there yet.
Okay. I'll tell you what, Kimberly, maybe you can be watching and
Okay,
a few of us can, who would like to play? Who's ready to log in?
I am now getting a verification in my email for having created a pass.
Okay, great. So you are ready.
Okay, so
I am trying now to, oh, I know, I copied it into the. So the password, not password, the class passcode. Do you see where to put that in now?
not yet. I'm on the home page and I see games. I see classrooms. Create a classroom is one option.
Okay, let's use that one. And see if it asks for a classroom code.
Okay.
I'm gonna write that down, storium.com.
You find that, Sherry?
It's asking me to choose a name for this classroom. So it's creating a classroom. If you already have a
I
classroom,
already have one that I want.
so I'm
you
going to
put in.
cancel and I'm going to poke around a little bit more and see if it'll ask me. Games is one. That says 0.
Tell you what, can you go back, click the story at the top left? And
Uh-huh.
and it go to the one that says put in your classroom code.
Okay.
You see that?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. Welcome aboard. Go to your home page.
I'm trying to get back to home for some reason. Maybe it's because I've got 2 screens open. I don't know.
No, it should work. Okay.
Okay, when it said go to your home page, it has, various things. Learn a, you
Do
take
you see
tutorial
classroom code on that?
classroom code.
Joanne, are you finding it?
No, mine just says your games and then shortcuts, learn how to play and start a game. Let me click on start a game and see.
Mhm.
Okay, see if you can add a classroom code there.
Nope, can't.
Bummer.
Well,
I think
mine
that,
is, thanks for signing up, and then it has, on one side official resources, and then on the other side it has take the tutorial, help us test Storium's new experimental AI writing tools.
okay, I
Also, no
think that
thanks.
the one, you guys are all in storium.com. Is that correct? Or
That's right.
is
It's
anybody in?
storiumedu.com. Storiumedu.com is where I'm
Okay,
at.
Sherry and Joanne got into the EDU.
No, I'm in storiumedu.com.
Yes, that's what I'm in.
That's the one.
Okay.
Okay,
So storiumedu.com.
right.
Guys,
And
mine
And
said this
that
site
did
can be
not,
reached. I
that
don't know
did-
why not.
that did not work for Barbara.
Yeah, it says site can be reached.
Okay, so
Oh, wait
why
a
don't
minute.
we go with,
It's supposed to be Storium and no space between the EDU, maybe. That's what it is.
no,
That's
there's
correct.
no space.
Okay.
It's all one word.
Okay, now I've got it.
Oh, good.
But Sue,
Okay.
even here, the only choices are to create a classroom, to browse the library. I don't see anything to put in another classroom.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
add,
If you did storyomedu.com and sign in, it will say enter class code.
It will. Okay, well, maybe I'll sign out and sign back in again. see if
Yes,
that works.
Storium edu, because I had done storium.edu.com, but it's
Oh.
storiumedu.com.
yeah. Good, I'm glad
So
you
what's the
figured that out.
difference? What's the difference? I
One
guess?
works and one doesn't.
No. I meant,
Okay.
what's the difference between Storium edu and Storium.com? Because it seems to be the same game.
Yeah, the EDU is where I get to set up the classroom for you. It's not
Mhm,
just a
okay.
generic.
Okay, what is the classroom code?
All right, classroom code D4P as in Peter, 945.
945.
That's D as in David, 4. P
It
as in
says there is
Peter.
no username with this. There is no user with this name and password.
Okay. All right, let me go in and see if I can sign up with
Let me
your
try it
user.
again.
No,
they
wait,
capital-
I think
cap-
I need to, let me enter your names.
Oh, okay.
This is, let's see if I can find where. So I'm glad that I'm not trying this with kids right now. So let me find my way back. Active games,
D4P
classrooms,
945.
gotcha in the game, manage. Okay, I'm going to add your names. Create a student. Tell me your
The-
name,
The
Sherry.
username that I chose is Starco56 with a small s.
Okay, spell that whole thing.
Small s Tarko 56.
You're in. So now try that.
All right, now when you give me this password, are they capital letters or do you think it matters?
I think all lowercase.
All right. So D,
I'm sorry. Can somebody read that back to her? I don't have it in front of me anymore.
D4P 945.
So D4P4
No.
945.
D4P 945.
Oh, okay. So D4P 945,
That's what
Low-
I got.
Yes, with lowercase letters.
lowercase.
Lowercase
Okay.
d and p. Oh,
Joanne, your name?
Joanne.
You
Okay.
could just use my name, Kimberly Gila.
Is that how you signed up?
you
Well,
can
remember
sign up.
You
They
told me
said-
to come out and watch you how to do things.
Okay,
yeah,
Um,
Sue, it didn't work for me, so I'm not sure what that's about.
okay. So Barbara, how did you sign up? What is your username?
Okay, I've got Barbara. Oh, one word with no spaces, first name and last name plus your last initial. Let me see if it will let me put a space. One name and no spaces.
So Barbara, which name did you use?
Barbara Mac DG.
Spell that out for me, please.
Barbara, no space, MC DG.
Okay, got
And
it.
it let me use capital letters.
Oh, you are
Yeah.
using all caps or
No,
just?
just B, Barbara, and then a capital M, lowercase c, and capital D and G.
Okay, got it. And you're not under 13. Okay, now try signing in with the class code. Or just
Okay.
signing in.
Yeah, well, I've done that. I'm at the welcome page now.
Okay, great. So we've got 3 of you that are gonna play and I will kind of watch.
I'm not in though.
Oh, so where are you?
Well, it recognized my username from before. But I'm just logging in. So I put Joanne and then I put that password and it said there's no username with that name and password.
Okay, try it one more time.
All right. So
Because I just put yours in.
okay.
Maybe log
Yep.
out and try it again. I don't know.
It's D4P 945.
Yes. D4P 945 with, and she said
945.
without capital letters.
Right.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, it's still not accepting me either.
No, that doesn't let me in.
And
Darn
what
it.
does it say?
But it worked for one person?
Who's
Yeah.
in?
I seem to be in.
Okay, I'm gonna sign out and I'm gonna sign in as a player. I don't think I can do this as logged in under my teacher name. So I'm gonna sign in. Log in again. Your games. And did anybody start a game yet?
Well, no, I'm waiting.
Okay, I'm gonna
I'm at the
start,
start a game site.
I'm gonna start a game.
Okay.
This one.
Well, I think I'm in now. I don't know how I did it, but it kept trying and it just automatically filled it in.
Good. Welcome.
So I think I'm in. But now it says, read our teacher's guide, watch our tutorial videos, create a classroom.
Yeah.
I'm not in a given game yet.
Okay, so what's gonna happen is I'll get you guys signed in, and then we're almost out of time, so let's get signed in, whoever can. And you guys are gonna be playing this game together over this week and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, we don't worry about it. We will try again next week if you want. But the
Okay.
idea is I'd like everybody to that can get signed in, go ahead, and even if you can't, if you can get to the videos that give you kind of an overview of how to use the cards and the setting and all of that, that will prepare you to play the game. And then I'm going to start the game and I'll write the first introduction and I will send it to you. And I have not figured out how to say to you when we're not online together, it's your turn, but I will do that in an email. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll pass it on and we'll take turns. So 3, 4, however many can get in, and we'll just try it and report on it next week. How about that?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm at the point where it says starting. If a teacher has asked you to start a game, click start a game. So I'm going to click that.
No, I've already started it.
It
Don't-
says if a teacher has asked you to start a
I'm
game.
not asking you to do
Oh,
it
okay.
because I have started it here.
Okay.
Okay, so
They said, or if another student is creating the game, just hang on. It will appear right here as soon as they invite you.
okay, so I'm starting a game. I'm going to draw the 4 cards that everybody will play. Actually, why don't I just show you my screen? So you'll see that I have drawn 4 cards. And they are that our setting is June 2021 Earth Charter Day. So that's coming up next month when we actually do celebrate Earth Charter Day. Okay. The tone is very dramatic. So when you're writing, remember that you're going to be dramatic. The beginning of our story is Pacha explores a biome. And what that means is that we're on the game board, and I can show you. I'll send that to you in an email. The Pacha is going to explore one of the 8 biomes. We don't know yet what that is. I will establish that when I write my first intro. And then the ending that we are aiming for is they complete the Earth Flash treasure hunt. Now that gets tricky because you have to know the treasure hunt. So let me explain that right now. The treasure hunt is, we're going to use the Earth Charter. See, this is way more complicated than is good for starting, but that's my learning process. And so the Earth Flash treasure hunt is youth identifying people and we are going to use in Alachua County, people in our county, but right now we're at a global level. So anywhere in the world that somebody is doing, and we'll use 4, respect and care for the community of life. And I'll send this again in the email. Logical integrity. So this one is about the living things. This one is about the non-living part and the interactions, the balance of nature. And then we go into social and economic development. I mean, justice, not development, but justice. And then democracy, nonviolence, and peace. So we're going to look for 4 people, or probably individuals, the name of an individual who works in some organization that is addressing each of those themes. That's the treasure hunt. And when we finish it, then we go to the next level of the game.
So I thought this was a fictional game that we were creating characters that we're supposed to find real people to fulfill these roles and write about.
Our characters are going to find real people. Does that make sense? We're reaching
No.
out from our game
Mhm.
and our fictional story with it's set in the future with why don't we use made up people? Don't reach out into the real world. Let's just make them up. Make up a name and an organization where somebody is working on each of those themes. Okay?
And this is
That's
kind of
better.
science fiction because it's in the future.
Yes.
So we can use our
Yes, you
imagination.
could, but it's only 2021 Earth Charter Day, which is next month. So it's
So
only
it's not in the future. It's just a month in the
a
future.
month from now. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that is the future.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we're
I
ask-
misunderstood. I thought in science fiction, fantasy, and a biodome, I thought sounded like the future. So I thought we were writing science fiction.
Okay, a biome is a like the desert, the ocean, the why don't we
Rainforest, the
let's pick
rainforest.
rainforest. Let's just say rainforest. People that are working for the rainforest. That'll do. And so the rainforest is our setting, but we still have those 4 themes: life, ecology, justice, and peace. And so we're going to look for invent people that are working in each of those in the rainforest. Okay. Phew. This is so tricky. This is not a 3rd grade game. So
Well, once
okay.
you get started, maybe.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice to figure out how to do this. And so thank you for bearing with me. So let me go. We're already at 2:00. If you feel like you need to leave, you're certainly welcome to, but let's see what else we can do. So we've got, so in the story, they have completed that treasure hunt. So we can report during the storytelling who each of those people are. Okay, so I don't need to change anything. 2 to 4 people. Okay, well, here's the trick. Subai, I have not created a character. I get to invite and then create my character. Again, Joanne, Lane, right? So maybe now you can get in, Joanne. And say again, Barbara.
It was Barbara, MCDG.
Okay, and Sherry.
Starco 56.
Okay, and Kimberly, do you want to, did you get a name if you want to try again after we're done here? Or I can help you again after? Oh, no, yeah, 4 players, we can do that. What would be your password or your username, Kimberly? How about just Kimberly? I'm going to put, that's your new username, which you will put in, okay?
And they said to put in the last name, first initial.
Okay,
I guess you don't
Kimberly,
have to.
Kimberly G.
G.
Okay, Kimberly G. Oh, too many players.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I signed in as a player. So Kimberly,
Maximum
you're
observer.
going to be the observer. Okay, so I'm going to create my character. Each of you should be able to sign in now and create a character. And I'm gonna choose Pacha. Just so, because she's a constant in every story. And so I know her background and all. But you can be any of those others. Let me know when you get in.
I can't see anything because the screen is shared and I don't know how to get out of that mode. There, now let me see.
So do I put in a classroom code or do I put in my password?
Your
It says password or classroom code.
your password. It doesn't ask for username.
It didn't ask for a
No,
password.
yeah,
for
it
the
asked for
CPU.
username, yeah.
Yes,
put in
that's
my
what you
username.
want.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, and now I'm just back to the browse library welcome.
It does not show you a game that says
No.
Pacha in the game.
No,
Does anybody see that?
I think I must have logged out of the thing when I went back to Zoom.
I'm so
Because all I
sorry this
saw
is not
now-
working.
Oh, hold it. Here's a tutorial. Barbara, starting games or how to play, or what should I do?
Well, I want you to watch those after we're done.
But I
Right.
mean, where should I be to, okay, now I'm at the welcome page. And it says start a game if your teacher has asked. So where do I go from there? From the welcome page?
I don't know.
Okay, let's see.
Joanne, how are you doing with this?
I don't remember the code now. Can you give it to me?
D4
I'm gonna-
P945.
logging out and going back in with the code and see if that works.
Okay.
Yeah, I should do. I'll try that too.
Kimberly, don't you feel lucky not to be doing all this?
Oh, did it again.
I'm so sorry. This is so difficult.
Well, it's probably just difficult one time.
Yeah, no, 2
Well,
times.
I think, how about we try to play it, you and I try to redo how we started it. So the next time we get together, we can just say, do
Or-
this, do this, do this, and it'll all work.
Yeah, it's still
Mhm.
saying there's no user with this name and password.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's
So-
stop all of this for now. What I will
Good.
do is, Joanne, you're suggesting we go into the old one that we did the other day?
No, I'm saying let's start a new one.
Are you in
Uh,
the one that I started?
No, I can't get into anything.
Well, then we can't do it that way.
No, I don't mean right now. I mean,
Oh, I want to
bef-
show something. I want to show something.
well, how about
Okay,
just showing them a story?
Is Pasha and the game one? I'm seeing Pasha and
Yes,
the game has
That's
3.
the one.
Okay,
That's the one. It should say Pacha in the game with 3 in parentheses.
yes, I see that.
Good.
At least we can see it if possible, so we'll know what to expect.
Right.
Yeah, this is nice for me to watch. I like to, I like to see things first, and that's how I process things in my mind.
So that's a really good thing to say, Kimberly, because what that means is when we figure out how to do this,
Yes.
we should make a little video and say, this is how to begin.
Exactly. That would be great.
That would be great. So,
But
yeah,
they probably
noticed
have that
what-
anyway, because they said they have a tutorial.
yeah, but not to log in. It's once you're in.
Mhm.
So I noticed at the beginning it said pricing. So once we do this, is it going to be a charge?
No, I stayed on the, I would have to pay for that. You would not.
I see. Okay.
Mhm.
But if we want to sign in and play a game ourselves, then we would, it is a charge.
Not to you. I have, I think, a 2-month trial. And I will pay for it because it's not much.
No,
But-
what I'm saying is that if we want our own account, or, you
If
know,
you-
it's
if
your
you-
account with users, right?
Yeah, my account would be for anyone who wants to come in and do the games that I set up.
the D4P 945 game
Yes.
classroom. Okay,
That would be mine, and I'm the only one who needs to pay for that.
okay.
Once I've set it up, it's open to anybody who has that passcode.
Okay.
All right.
But so far today, none of the users are able to log in with your password.
Not
Correct?
yet.
Okay.
If you want to keep trying, we can.
Well, I don't know how to what else to try. I put in my username again. And if I do the touch ID to log in with my thumb, it puts my password in and I'm able to log in. But then I'm at the welcome page and it only allows me to create a classroom. It doesn't allow me to
And
join.
you do not see Pacha in the game 3
No,
with a big
I don't know what-
picture of Pacha. Click
I don't,
on the left side. Do you see games?
yes,
Click
but
that.
it says 0 games.
Oh.
And when I push it, nothing happens. There's a story world.
Okay.
a story
Well,
world.
I've got to go now, but I'm gonna try to play this. It really seems like a nice game, so I'm glad to
Yeah,
know about story.
What I'm excited about is the use of creativity to imagine a positive future unleashes
Yes.
parts of your brain from what I've read. So
Right.
even for adults, just that's why I love cosplay, going to science fiction conventions, because everybody's living in the future and we're all pretty happy. And imagining that kind of helps make it happen.
Yes.
Even scientific level with quantum physics, I believe.
Yes. Exactly.
Praying and meditating is works for even non-believers because they get in the mind frame of thinking that it's going to happen and create it.
Yes.
Well, that's good. That's good. 'Cause so much of the
excited
science
about-
fiction is dystopia in future. So I'm glad to know that there's a whole utopia of future.
So let me tell you the story that we are telling through this collaborative storytelling adventure. And that is that by 2030, our human family with all of our climate stories is going to win every one of those sustainable development goals,
Oh, wow.
period.
Yeah.
And by 2050, we are going to reverse global warming. But the only way we can do that is to get lots and lots of people working on it right now. And so that's the story we're telling is, hey, here's what we want, and this is how people are doing it. And you can do that too. You can either use many of the resources that people are already using, and there's many, like the Will Steger that you did the workshop with, inspired the climate climate storytelling I'm doing now with this group, you see. So they inspired me. Now you're inspired to do it with your group. That's the way this works. And so, yeah, just telling our climate story, who is doing what. And if we need to get together and do something together, all the better. And so, yeah, we're setting up a collaborative storytelling adventure, and we're going to tell the best story we possibly can. Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
All right. So thank you all. And
See you next week.
I'll
Thank
see
you. I
you
hope you
next
figured it
Okay.
out.
I'll try
Goodbye.
to get the right information to you.
Will we have the same link each week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so
Right.
much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.